Uh,
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
We're in pain, but it's fine.
We've been emotionally compromised.
Yes, we've finished all of James Bond now.
Yep, we finally got to the last 3 movies. So this round we watched Skyfall, Spectre, and No Time to Die. We just finished No Time to Die like 10 minutes ago. I'm being bullied by my emotions.
Yes.
We'll get to No Time to Die in a minute because obviously it's the last one. So we'll start with Skyfall. It came out in 2012. It was directed by Sam Mendes.
I think he was the one for all of them.
He wasn't. The last one was done by someone different.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, Sam Mendes did do Skyfall and Spectre. No Time to Die was Kerry Joji. Oh God, Fukunaga.
Okay.
I hope I said their name correctly.
Most likely
Skyfall,
not, and we apologize.
Probably. I'm stupid American, sorry. Skyfall, after an operation in Istanbul ends in disaster, Bond is missing and presumed to be dead. In the aftermath, questions are raised over M's ability to run the Secret Service, and she becomes the subject of a government review over her handling of the situation. The service itself is attacked, prompting Bond to return to London. His presence assists MI6's investigation in uncovering a lead, and Bond is sent to Shanghai and Macau? In Macau? Okay, it's spelled with a U at the end, so I wasn't sure.
I think it's Macau, but I could be wrong.
Probably. I'm usually wrong. In pursuit of a mercenary named Patrice. Nobody asked you, Patrice. There he establishes a connection to Raul Silva, a former MI6 agent who was captured and tortured by Chinese agents. Blaming M for his imprisonment, Silva sets in motion a plan to ruin her reputation before murdering her. Bond saves M and attempts to lure Silva into a trap, and while he is successful in repelling Silva's assault, M is killed. Bond returns to active duty under the command of the new M, Gareth Mallory. So, as the synopsis says, this is Judi Dench's last appearance as M, and this is the one where she gets to become, for at least a bit, a Bond girl.
Yep.
Continuing the tradition that Bond girls really, really have a bad time. This one of this trilogy, before we watched No Time to Die, I said was my favorite because I thought it was a beautiful send-off to Judi Dench, and I'll always say she did a really good job. But I'm gonna have to swap the favorite to No Time to Die, with this one being my second favorite. Like, this one, Skyfall was really good.
See, I have personal connections with Skyfall and Spectre, because back when I was doing some college classes and did some acting stuff, I took a monologue from both of those to use in my classes.
And honestly, I feel like you could have done a monologue from the last one as well had you done more classes, because
that came really out well lines. After I was done with my classes.
You know what? That would make it a little hard.
Yeah,
I also didn't realize there was a 6-year difference between Spectre and the last movie. Jesus.
Mm-hmm. But for Skyfall, we get a lot of background on James Bond himself, at least this version, because we are clarified that his name is actually James Bond. It's not a code name in this one.
Mm-hmm.
And we hear a lot about how his parents died, and we see where he lived beforehand, which is a very beautiful, ancient-looking house / castle almost.
Yeah, it's
they promptly destroy.
Yeah, it was a very old manor. But it was a gorgeous estate.
Yes. So as it was mentioned, after a mission gone wrong, Bond gets shot. And he falls off of a moving train down into a Valley River.
ravine. Something that the synopsis kind of summary doesn't mention is the person that shoots him is another MI6 agent. I believe it was Moneypenny.
Yes, it was Moneypenny. We don't learn her name until the end, but
yeah, like they don't even introduce themselves until the end, like formally. I'm sure she knows who the hell he is because he's Bond. Everyone knows who he is.
Everybody knows who Bond is.
Every bad guy ever, apparently. But yeah, they don't officially like introduce and swap names until the end of the movie, which I just thought was kind of funny. Like, you worked with her in the field and you don't know her name.
Sometimes it's safer that way, not to know the names of your fellow agents.
You know what? That is very fair, especially if you're like both doing field work and could get kidnapped and be like, who are you working with, bitch? I don't fucking know.
I don't know their name. I just know their code.
Yeah, that thing. Like, it's that one bitch, you know.
Yeah.
They're this tall.
But we have one of the very much gay-coded villains, if not at least bi, in this one. Because Raul Silva actually makes at one point after Bond is captured once of rubbing him down almost.
Yeah. It was interesting and slightly uncomfortable just because of the whole, oh, this is not consenting kind of thing. But that's not our first queer-coded Bond villain, is it? It might be our first queer Bond villain. Uh-oh. Did Discord die on us?
No, I'm thinking.
Oh, sorry. Like, you got a real sign that I was like, oh god.
I actually think he might be the first one that was coded that way.
I think he is? Like, all of the rest of them just feel like they were kind of stereotypically evil.
Which makes it interesting. We've had a lot. Daniel Craig did very good with making their own. Like, all of his movies stood out as different from anything previous.
Oh, yeah. And he still is definitely very much the trigger-happy, destructive Bond from the previous 3 movies, but we also see him almost
grow up a little bit.
Yeah, like, this man was ready to retire. He keeps... Something that I noticed when I was reading the synopsis is this man just keeps disappearing for lengthy periods of time. Just like, I'm good. I'm just gonna go off for a bit.
Multiple things of how was your retirement was in the last movie.
Yeah. Like, Daniel Craig's Bond goes away a few different times, and he is, you know what? Good for him. Let the man retire.
Yeah. But as for Skyfall, we get a lot of background when it comes to Bond. We get a lot going on with Judi Dench. We actually have her out in the field doing things because Bond is trying to save her life. And it's a really good change of pace. As it said, yes, this is M's last one. She does die at the end, but she doesn't die at the hand of the villain. Like, she gets wounded by one of his henchmen and she struggles through, but at the end, she dies after he does.
Yep.
So it's not like he gets the satisfaction of watching her die.
Which is very nice. Because, haha, fuck you, essentially.
This technically is her last stint as M. We do have a small cameo of her in the next one as a recording from her.
Yes,
which is
she does make a very brief appearance, but this is the last time that we see her alive on screen, essentially.
Yeah. We also have a pretty good stacked cast in here because in the end sequence, whenever they've gone into hiding and trying to trap Silva, we meet one of James's former groundkeepers that the old house used to live in.
Yep. Albert Finney, who is a big name in general, but a lot of folks would know him from movies like Big Fish or Annie from the 80s, which also had a very fucking stacked cast.
I didn't realize he was an Annie.
Yeah, he was Daddy Warbucks.
Oh.
And apparently he was also the man from Chico and the Man, according to Mom.
Meh.
Beautiful singing voice, though. R.I.P. We lost him, I think, last year, actually.
I think so. So, yeah. This might have been one of his last roles.
It might have been.
But you mentioned this one being second favorite for you at this point. Now that you've seen No Time to Die with all the context.
With all of the context, which it definitely helps because we had seen that one previously, and the end didn't hold as much emotional weight for me, but now it definitely does.
Mm-hmm.
But for this one,
was the second highest rated when it came to critics, because this one was a 92% for Craig.
Yeah, see, 92 for critics, 86 for audience.
Which honestly, I feel like is, even though it's a high number, it's low. Like, this is easily a 95 or higher.
Honestly, yeah. Skyfall, I would comfortably put in the 90s. It definitely has one rewatch value. Like, I would put that on again in the background and actively watch it. Or at least somewhat more pay attention to it.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, 95% for Skyfall.
I'm just remembering back when I first watched it and how excited I was.
Aw. Yay. For Spectre. Spectre came out in 2015. Oh.
Special mentions for specifically these ones, because don't care as much about the intros for some of the previous ones, but each one of these had their intro songs done by super famous people at the time, because Skyfall was by Adele. And she fucking rocked it. Yes. And then here with Spectre, the intro for this one was done by Sam Smith.
Who honestly did a fantastic job. But again, it's Sam Smith, so that's not a surprise. As we mentioned before, it was also directed by Sam Mendes, and it came out in 2025. Following the death in following her death in
You said 2025? Yes, no.
I did say 2025. My bad. Time is a weird soup. Following her death in Skyfall, Sims Bond in a posthumous... Good God, Bella.
Posthumous?
I butchered up the whole fucking sentence before we even got to that point. Following her death in Skyfall, sends Bond a posthumous message that leads him to thwart a terrorist attack in Mexico City. Gareth Mallory takes Bond off active duty for his illegal operation, but Bond continues his investigation off the books.
Bond continues to be a menace.
Do what?
Bond continues to be a menace.
Of course. It's almost like that's unofficially his job description. The trail leads him first to Rome, where he learns of a sinister terrorist organization known as Spectre, and later to Austria. There he finds former adversary Mr. White, who had become terminally ill after being poisoned by Spectre. White asks Bond to protect his daughter, Madeline Swan, from Spectre and its leader, Franz
Oberhauser?
Yeah, before committing suicide. Meanwhile, Mallory comes under pressure to have British intelligence join a global intelligence sharing network codenamed Nine Eyes. With Swan's help, Bond tracks Spectre to Morocco and learns that Spectre is behind the terrorist attacks, creating a need for Nine Eyes. Spectre controls Nine Eyes, giving them access to the intelligence sharing network. Oberhauser captures and tortures Bond, revealing that his father was Bond's guardian after the deaths of Bond's parents. Jealous of the attention and care that his father gave to the young James Bond, Oberhauser faked his own death while at the same time murdering his own father. Now known as Ernst Stravo Blofeld, he claims responsibility for everything Bond has suffered in his career. Bond and Swan escaped and returned to London, where Bond joins forces with Mallory and Q to shut down Nine Eyes and apprehend Blofeld. So we finally have not just the return of Spectre, but Blofeld, at least this iteration.
Also, we see another thing that is different with these is Q and Moneypenny both are field agents at some point, or go out in the field.
Yep. And they are shown more in each of these films, and they are also very much more willing to essentially give M the finger and help Bond out.
The multiple times that Q is, this is my livelihood, right?
Yes, that poor man. It's like I feel bad for him because he didn't sign up for half of the shit he got drug into.
But Spectre is another one that gives us a lot of background on James. Like these last three the last three they had for him were so much of background information about characters that were in there.
It really does. And I will say that my initial annoyance with Spectre was very much not fair. When we first watched this, I got annoyed because the plot essentially boiled down to adoptive brother being jealous that daddy loved James more. Which
in itself is correct, but there's so much more to it.
It is. And you have to give the man props for the complexity of this plan. It's not fully a Goldfinger plan because, yes, there are a lot of steps and a lot of things can go wrong, but it's not as dumb, at least in my opinion. Because as we see, he is pretty much behind everything. All of the adversaries, all the people that we saw in previous movies, fucking Mads Mikkelsen, his character, all of that comes back to... Yes, all of that comes back to fucking Spectre. So this man has had it out for Bond since the beginning, it seems.
He really has.
Go figure. This one, like I said, this one of the trilogy was probably the weakest for me, but it's still not bad. But what were you going to say?
We have a really cool thing that happens in the very beginning of this. So the little synopsis mentioned taking out a terrorist attempt in Mexico. The entire opening of this is all a one-shot camera. There are no cuts in it at all. Yeah, and it is beautifully done.
Yeah, the opening scene, which does take place during a Day of the Dead
Dia de los
Muertos. Yes. I already like shots that are like that, but the way it's done, a lot of people don't get a chance to see it because of the complexity that has to go into maintaining the shot that does it, which is why it's probably not done all that often. But when it is done, and when it is done well, I just so enjoy them. Just us gushing about James Bond.
I mean, we've been through the entire series at this point, and how far it's come.
We've got to see it evolve in several different forms.
Oh, a thing I didn't mention with the ending of Skyfall, but it's at the beginning of this one too. So M had on her desk a little bulldog that had the British flag on it, and James absolutely hates it. Well, M leaves in her will that goes to James, and we see in the beginning of this that he does have it on his desk at his house as a little sentimental thing, and it's great.
It was a cute little nod, and it's one of those blink and you miss it things.
Like if you haven't been paying enough attention through these movies, there are so many things you'll actually end up missing. And that's why I like going back and rewatching. Because then you have things like that. You have multiple points where you see a character's personality, that trait that you might not have recognized in past watches of it. Moneypenny has a penchant for disobeying things.
Yeah. And I love her for it.
But we have through all of these where the main core group works together so well. Moneypenny, Q, and Bond. Like, they're constantly helping each other in this. And we have, with Mallory in this one, being a spiteful little shit, which is great. Because his name is Max something, the one that is working with Spectre that's trying to make the Nine Eyes program to be global surveillance. But they call him C, and he hates it, and they all call him that.
And that person is played by Andrew Scott, who has always been such a fun little villain. Because, of course, he was Moriarty in the BBC version of Sherlock. So anytime he gets to be a evil little shit is fun.
And he has a punchable face.
Really does have a punchable face. A lot of people in these movies have punchable faces.
And usually they're the villains, because we know how to pick out our villains.
Either the villains or their fucking henchmen.
That thing. This one, you didn't have to pause, really, but there was a scene that you kind of turned away from in it.
Yep, and I'll let you do that one.
So after Bond and Madeline are captured by Blofeld in this, Bond is strapped into basically a surgical chair, and Blofeld talks about how if you damage certain nerves and things, it'll make people forget faces or things like that. Yeah, the chair is equipped with little tiny drills that he occasionally put into the side of James's head, and at the end was going to stab his eyes out with, but got interrupted, luckily.
No, thank you.
Hearing the sound through headphones versus over the TV was a little bit on the nerves.
Oh, I'm sorry, hon.
No, it's fine, because I'd never heard it through headphones before, so that was
Glad I didn't wear headphones to watch that one then.
Yeah.
Oof.
But Blofeld is very good about torture.
He is, and we haven't mentioned yet, Blofeld is played by Christoph Waltz, who, again, really good at playing a villain. I don't think I've seen him in a movie where he wasn't a villain.
I can't answer that one.
I haven't seen all of his movies, so I can't answer either, which is why I specified that I've seen. But again, wonderfully punchable face.
And at the end of it, like, he has a perfectly fine face until his facility out in the middle of the desert, which is cloaked, apparently, is blown up. And then we get the classic Blofeld that has the scar across the eye and all that. And they do this one as a fresh scar, so it is still really red and bloody.
Yep.
Like, he didn't even take the time after getting blown up to get himself fixed.
Well, he was pretty much immediately captured.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get to get fixed. You get to get taken away.
And he's one of the few Bond villains that doesn't end up dying at the end of the movie.
Correct. He lives. Briefly.
Actually, technically, with the time skip that we have from Spectre into the main part of No Time to Die, he's been locked up in prison for 6-ish years?
Roughly, yeah. I don't know how long we have between Spectre and No Time to Die.
Because we'll get to that in a little bit, but there's a decent time skip.
Yeah.
You said this one was the weakest one for you. What about it would you say was on the weaker side?
whole jealous brother thing, just because if I had to pick a reason why Blofeld annoyed me, it would be that. It's not so much that he wants to be evil for the sake of being evil. No, I want to be evil because Daddy didn't love me enough.
Which seems it's a very classic trope of movies.
Yeah, it is. And Shrix mentions that I didn't stop this one nearly enough. There was one point that I paused it and asked specifically about the plot if it was because of the whole jealous brother thing, and I made a comment about how it made me think of 50 Shades of Grey because that's apparently a plot point in that. The only reason why I know that is because I've watched someone tear it apart that's read it. So that is probably why it would be somewhat annoying to me, is just because of the very, very basic boiled down similarity between the plots of those two. Like, it's so much more complex for James Bond than that, but just because of that somewhat similarity. But even with that, I would probably still rewatch it.
Like these last three these last three for Craig have so much continuity between them.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're almost ones you kind of have to sit down and watch all in a row.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I'm glad we were able to do them all in the same week.
Mm-hmm. There's not as much to talk about with this one for like big story points and things like that. We had the big reveal of, oh, I've been the one that's been behind all of your misery this whole time, and bullshit like that.
Yeah. We do get
henchman Batista.
Yes, this one has Batista as the henchman in it, and he is another silent antagonist until the very end. The only line this man gets is when he just says shit.
Yes, but Batista is amazing in almost anything he does, and as one of the bad guy henchmen in this, he is menacing as fuck.
And I didn't realize it until I looked it up. This man is 6'6", so imagine Dave Batista in all of his height and all of his menacingness, even though I'm sure in person he's a lovely man, chasing after you, and you know he has the intent to kill you. I would piss myself.
And one of our friends had made mention, because apparently in an interview for this one, Craig accidentally broke Batista's nose during a fight scene.
Yeah. Like, apparently he forgot to pull his punch and actually made contact with his face and broke his nose, and he felt so bad about it, and he was kind of worried that he was going to be mad about it. And he said that Batista's just like, no, it was a good hit. Like, he was cool about it. It's like, oh.
And it was actually kept, I think, in shot as well. Like, we don't see any blood or anything, but I'm fairly certain they kept where he broke his nose in shot.
I tried to look for it, but I couldn't see the scene where he made contact and like broke his nose.
I'm fairly certain it was on the train. Fairly certain.
Probably, because that's about the only time they actually go like into close enough to face.
Fisticuffs.
Yeah. We love fisticuffs.
And we also still have the penchant of anything that Bond borrows or is given by Q, it all gets destroyed. Because a car that wasn't even meant for him that he stole out of the garage, he drowned in a river.
Just all of these cars that this man goes through.
Yeah.
How many cars does... That's gonna have to be something that I'm not gonna go back all of these movies.
There's been at least one destroyed every single movie.
At least, yeah. And they're almost always Aston Martins. Or at least along those veins.
Indeedy-do. Like we had a stint where it wasn't Aston Martin's, but I think that was Roger Moore, actually. Now that I think about it.
I think. Like, it feels like it's been so long since his movies, but it also feels like his movies were so long.
Yeah.
Was he tied with the most?
Yes, he was tied with the most.
Okay. Are we counting Connery's return for the non-Eon film?
If we are not counting that, then Roger Moore actually had the most because Connery only had 6.
Okay, I'm not counting that. I don't care if it's considered canonical. No, fuck you.
It's. Oh, I accidentally diminished that. Oops. Okay. I diminished Discord and I got rid of our faces on my fucking recording thing. I do that sometimes.
This is fine.
Is there anything you want to say for this one? I know we need to cover our ratings for them.
Yeah. If you are squeamish and aren't super into like body horror adjacent things, when he gets his ass in the chair, fast forward it. Just fast forward it. The only thing you're gonna miss is that he and Madeline love each other. That's the only thing that, like, I'm sure Blofeld has some evil little dialogues that he says, but it's nothing super plot related that you'll miss. If you are squeamish, skip that scene. It's fine.
Yeah, there's really not a ton that you're missing there.
Yeah. That's only really the thing I would add to it.
Like, some of these movies have some things that are just very
Yeah. I will say this. If you want to call these more modern ones, the ones in the 90s and the ones that happened in the past 10 years, we did not skip any of the chase scene.
No, we didn't. We kept all the chase scenes. I think we only actually skipped the chase scenes of Roger Moore.
Yeah, at least the longer ones in the earlier movies.
There were some of his chase scenes that were like 2-3 minutes long just by themselves.
Yep. And then you had additional characters that didn't need to fucking be there. I'm looking at you, Sergeant Pepper.
As for ratings on these, I know this one wasn't in the 90s, I'm pretty sure.
It wasn't. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this one got the lowest of the last trilogy for Daniel Craig. Mm-hmm. The critics gave it 63. The audience gave it 61. But honestly...
Wait, they had it all the way down in the 60s?
Yeah, they had it all the way down in the 60s. I would honestly give this 80s.
Why did they have it so low?
I don't know. One person said it's a tired retread that offers little new or original, taking 007 to the one place he's arguably never been before, irrelevance. Okay.
That sounds more like a case of they're looking at it just as a standalone Bond film, not the fact that it's a continuation.
It's a good possibility, because this one feels like it's almost like how Quantum of Solace was, in that it's a direct sequel. Maybe not a direct sequel to Skyfall?
Technically is. Because we have right after Skyfall the message from M about hunting down these certain people.
True. So all of these three work in their own, like, direct trilogy, essentially.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like when they're doing the judging of this, they're not looking at it in that context. They're looking at it just on its own standalone thing, which is where I rate this one up in the high 80s to low 90s.
Yeah, honestly, I could easily give this one 85. Like, it's good. It's just, it suffers from the middle trilogy syndrome thing, where the second one is very rarely as good as the first, and
it also suffers a bit from tropism.
Yeah, it does, which definitely doesn't help it.
No, but it's okay. It is still well done.
Oh yeah.
And we have some big names in here that carry the whole thing.
Oh yeah. They did not stack these casts.
Honestly, the casts all the way from Brosnan up to here have been stacked.
They really have, and I'm sure some of the older ones were as well.
But with people that we don't know as well.
Yeah.
And last but not least, the movie that
emotionally destroyed us. All right, No Time to Die. It came out in 2021. It was directed by Cary or Kari. It's Cary. Joji
probably Kari, I'm assuming.
Fukunaga.
Something.
Yes. And to the director, I'm sorry that I'm mispronouncing your name. No Time to Die. 5 years after Blofield's imprisonment, Bond is retired and living in Jamaica when Felix Leiter and his colleague Logan Ash enlist his help in searching for the missing MI6 scientist Valdo Obertrov,
I think.
Yeah, I think so. Bond eventually accepts Leiter's request and follows his lead about the scientist's whereabouts to Cuba, where he infiltrates a Spectre gathering. Obertrov realizes that it's a trap set by Blofeld to kill Bond with a deadly nanoscale weapon, but he is working for someone else and has re-engineered the weapon to attack only members of Spectre. When Bond brings Obertrov to Leiter, Ash betrays them and helps Obertrov escape, killing Leiter. R.I.P. Felix.
Yeah.
Bond returns to MI6 and confronts M regarding the development of the weapon known as Heracles, a nanobot that can be programmed to attack specific people based on their genetic markers.
Funny enough, the Roman name of Hercules.
Yep. Which, tracks. Because nothing ever goes wrong with naming your stuff off of ancient Roman individuals. Where'd I go? He then visits Blofeld in prison and is reacquainted with Madeline Swan. Swan decides to leave before Blofeld arrives, while Bond has an altercation with Blofeld, who dies soon after. It is revealed that when he touched Swan, Bond was infected with Heracles nanobots that were programmed to kill Blofeld. Bond traces Swan back to her childhood home, where she is living with her 5-year-old daughter, It's not Matilda, but it is the French version of Matilda.
Matilda is all they said. Matilda.
Thank you. I will mispronounce it. She tells Bond about Jesus. Lucifer. It's I think it's Lucifer because it's not Lucifer, but it's similar. The man who controls Heracles. After Bond avenges Leiter's death by killing Ash, Safin, which is Lucifer's last name, captures Swan and her daughter and brings them to his island, which is the Heracles factory. Bond works with MI6 to rescue Swan and her daughter and destroys Safin's factory with a missile strike launched from a nearby Royal Navy destroyer. Before Bond kills him, Safin infects Bond with nanobots that have been programmed to attack Swan and her daughter. Because of this, Bond decides to sacrifice himself to save them. After a tearful goodbye to Swan, who confirms that Matilda is... Matilda? Thank you. Is in fact his daughter. Bond is killed when the missiles obliterate the factory. So, as it says, this was pretty much the send-off of the James Bond character. And it was honestly really well done.
That little introduction thing also didn't mention the very beginning of this movie, which, by the way, is the longest introduction of a Bond movie before we get the title sequence.
Also kind of ties together why everything is happening and why Swan is involved in this. Safin, his entire family was killed by Swan's family.
Madeline's father, yeah.
Yeah, her father killed his entire family, Mr. White, which I forgot was her dad until we read the synopsis for the last movie.
Mm-hmm.
But so Mr. White kills all of Safin's family.
Safin comes seeking revenge, kills Madeline's mother, and Madeline runs away, gets trapped in the lake, the frozen lake, and instead of killing her, Safin shoots out the ice enough to be able to break it and pulls her out. That's where we see the end of her little flashback. But this is
Yeah.
the beginning of this is basically directly after the end of Spectre, where Bond has once again gone to retirement. He's off with Madeline exploring the world. They end up going to Italy because Madeline says that for them to have a future, he needs to learn to let go of Vesper. So she takes him there to go see the grave and say his final goodbyes. Well,
Which is honestly a reasonable request.
it is. The grave of Vesper ends up exploding in Bond's face. He gets suspicious that he was betrayed by Madeline. He wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end of the intro sequence, he puts her on a train and tells her, "You'll never see me again," when she had a secret to tell him, that secret being that she was pregnant.
Yep. And like, I know there's the whole thing in the middle of it when he first discovers the kid. She says she's not yours.
Bitch, you lying.
You can't hide those blue ass eyes. I don't know where they found a little girl who has the same striking blue ass eyes that Daniel Craig did in these movies. But damn.
Yeah.
Like, even he says it, but the blue eyes is like, no, yeah, you can't hide those. Sorry.
Nope. But we have, of course, the return of Blofeld as a little insider thing. He's basically still running Spectre out of his fucking jail cell that he's in.
Somehow.
Yeah.
Like, I did ever explain how he was able to do that? Like, I know
he had that little crystal eye thing that was out, and he was able to speak through it. So at the party, it was apparently all hooked up through like a speaker system because you could hear him saying stuff, and he did say "to my brother" as the eye focused on Bond.
Which is why I thought he could also see the things that's happening.
He could.
Unless, okay, but if he's being watched the entire time, how in the fuck?
Well, the whole thing is they make a comment because in his jail cell, it seems like he's just talking to himself. And how they make the comment of the only person he ever talks to is Madeline, because lo and behold, she became his psychiatrist in the jail cell.
Which I feel like would be
compromise,
conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Because didn't her dad work for him, or was Mr. White something else entirely?
Mr. White was part of Spectre.
Okay, yeah, that would be conflict of interest. You can't.
And the fact that she was involved with the whole Blofeld situation at the end of Spectre.
Yeah.
There's a lot of conflict of interest there. But apparently Blofeld had made a thing saying that he would only deal with her, or else they wouldn't get any information out of him. So, yay! But the whole thing of Heracles is M should have shut down a project that he didn't, and it got stolen from him and turned into a weapon.
Shocking.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that M was trying to see the good in it, like, we can use this, and
M wanted to use it as a tool for espionage, to where they could harmlessly pass a virus until it reached the right person, and then it would take them out. So used for villains and things.
Yep.
The enemy,
friendly fire or anything like that.
Yeah, the enemy stole that and then turned it into a very easily spreadable virus that you just had to have somebody's DNA for, and it would just spread through their families or their heritage, their lineage, things like that, and kill the entire world.
Yep. And it's definitely one of those things. This one I had to pause during as well, just because I wanted clarification, not because I had any issues with the plot. Because I had to ask that was essentially bioweaponry, and thus against the Geneva Convention.
Yeah, against the Geneva Convention, which is why M was still having it developed in secrecy.
And I made the comments that this man just spent well, he wasn't part of the first one. That was Judi Dench's M. But they have essentially spent the entire past 2 movies trying to ensure the survival of MI6, with everyone saying that it's antiquated, it's unnecessary, no one does espionage anymore, and then you're gonna risk it all.
Which, by the
for
way, they said that had been still being worked on for 10 years. So that could have been before he even became M.
It could have been, but we also don't know. Well,
there was not a
would have
ton
been
of time in
somewhat
between Skyfall to Spectre. So it would have
The
had to
question
have been.
Is it an M thing and Judi Dench was aware of it, or is it a Mallory thing?
I
And
think
he
it-
just kind of
I think it was a Mallory thing.
okay. Either way, like, dude,
You should have
How
shut this
you-
bitch down.
absolutely. And the whole weaponized facility turned out to be Safin's father's poisonous garden. Apparently, these folks were Spectre's poisoners, I believe he said.
Yeah, they created all of the poisons and toxins and things like that that were used for their espionage and stuff.
Yeah. A gorgeous island.
It was, and then it had to be blown up.
Well, you know,
We
People
can't let
work
this
one
thing get
side.
everywhere. Yeah, but
thing.
on the island, didn't even mention this because Bond has gone on retirement.
Yes.
His number is given up. Someone else has become 007.
Yep. And I fucking loved her. I think they said her name was
Nomi.
Nomi. She was. She did not want to deal with any of his shit, and honestly, rightfully so. But we see her go from just like not liking Bond at all to begrudgingly respecting him to just like outright respecting him.
At
but
the end
he-
of it, she makes a remark to M saying, "I would like to request that Bond is reinstated as 007 for this mission."
Yeah,
She doesn't
like,
say for the
she-
mission,
he
but we see
just,
where
like,
it goes.
reinstated. Yeah, but it's a fun little thing.
We
to see
had a
that
female
development.
007, and in opinions, should have been continued with her
Good.
being 007 in 2 new movies, but people are cowards.
Yes.
She's also the only Bond or a 007 to bring back a car not broken.
Yeah, because that is a notoriously thing. That is just poor Q and all of these toys that he just never gets back because James destroys them.
Yeah. But she clearly shows that she has all of the skills to go through this, the stealth, any of the shooting.
Oh yeah.
Because at the beginning, she competes against Bond while he's working with the CIA for capturing this motherfucker.
Yep.
And it's hilarious.
Honestly, she is a very good agent, and I wish they would have continued the movies as 007 movies, not as James Bond, because that was, like I said, this was a beautiful send-off to the character of James Bond.
It was. We have
Like
at the end, he gets infected by the Heracles virus, which contains the DNA for Madeline and therefore their daughter.
Yep.
So he can never go back to them.
Yep. And there is no way to remove the virus because it's
It's
nanotech.
nanotech, so it gets
Yeah.
into your bloodstream and it stays there.
So essentially, yeah, he would never be able to go back to them again. So he chooses to then just stay and make sure the blast doors stay open so that
The island is
everything
destroyed
gets destroyed.
and sacrifices himself in the process.
And it's really sad because the daughter dropped her fucking little stuffed rabbit and he finds it, so he's got the rabbit with him as he is watching them from a distance and he blows up.
Yeah.
Which is why we were crying.
See, when we watched this the first time a couple of years ago, Bella hadn't seen any of the James Bond movies except for one of the Brosnan ones because we watched that one that night
Yep.
as well. So had no context for much of the movie, whereas I'm over here extremely quiet and don't know what to say to the end of it because
Mm.
I've seen through all of the Craig Bonds, and it's rough seeing someone that basically grew up with watching, because Casino Royale came out 2006 and I was 10 years old.
Yeah, 10 or 11, depending on what time of the year it came out in.
Yeah. So watching as my favorite Bond is killed off, like in a very noble sacrifice, but still a case of damn. And if you look at it, it's almost like the whole series itself was ended there, because we haven't had anything happen since, and that's been 5 years now. There's been no talk of anybody taking over. There's been little rumors, but nothing ever confirmed.
Yeah. And of course everyone has their who they would pick for their Bond, like to play Bond next. We've even kicked around the idea as well if they decide to ever do a soft reboot of the franchise.
Yeah, which honestly is probably how they're going to have to do it, because we killed James Bond.
Yep. Like, you're gonna have to reboot the whole thing at this point, unfortunately, which is fine. Gosh, let's see. Trying to think of if we missed anything.
There wasn't as much in this one for like henchman wise to talk about. Rest in peace to Felix, because of course the end of this era and all that.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm glad that they kept the same actor. I'm glad
this Felix got to stay around so often, because he was the only one for Craig, whereas we had 20 different Felixes in the previous ones.
Damn near. Like, we get a Felix every movie. But honestly, it was hard to say goodbye to both of them.
Yeah.
But
it is a very lovely send-off to the series. It really is.
It is. It is a very lovely send-off to both Bond in general, but
at this point, it feels like it is the last James Bond film we'll ever see. Because I don't know if they're going to try and reboot or anything.
I don't see them doing it yet. Perhaps in the next 10-15 years, once Hollywood has fully ran out of new ideas and they're like, all right, well, what do we do next? How about we reboot James Bond? We might see them revisit it, and then we'll see who they decide to go with from there, because by that point it'll be an entirely new generation of actors they can pick from.
Yeah, and it'll be a younger generation's Bond, whereas this one is the one that we technically grew up with. A little bit of Brosnan and then Craig. Actually, no, Brosnan started in 95, so I grew up with both of them technically.
Yeah, you did. The first Brosnan movie came out
the year I was born. Yep.
Okay, I couldn't remember when GoldenEye, or if GoldenEye was the first one or not.
So, rating-wise for this one.
Rating-wise for this one, critics gave it 83%.
Which still feels fucking low.
It does, but a lot of people probably didn't like it because he died.
There's a lot of that people are like, no, you can't kill off the main character. Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can. And of course, people also probably didn't like it because there was a female James Bond, but also
a female 007. Yeah, it was a black female too, which Nomi's fucking awesome. People can kiss my ass.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So a lot of people aren't going to like the fact that she was a black woman as 007 in a James Bond movie. How dare you? Audience was a little higher. Audience scored it 88%. I would give this one easily 95. Mid-90s.
Oh, yeah. All of these with their whole trilogy aspect are in the 90s. They really are, and they flow together so well. They tell such a good story.
They do.
And that's, I think, why I enjoy the Craig ones so much, because we have an overarching story through basically all of them. Whereas a lot of the previous Bonds didn't have anything that connected them together, really.
Yeah, with very few exceptions, all of the other Bond movies you could pretty much watch as one-offs. There were some things that would tie them together.
We had little
But-
nods to previous movies here and there,
Yeah.
like a lot of nods during Roger Moore to having the George Lazenby movie where married only once, but ended quickly. Like we even have with Daniel Craig where we see multiple times of falling in love and the heartbreak that comes from it.
Yeah, because he pretty much falls in love a lot in his
He
run.
had two main ones, which was Vesper in the very first one, Casino Royale, and then Madeline Swan for Spectre and No Time to Die. We didn't have any real Bond girl. Actually, if I remember, there wasn't even really any kind of sex scene stuff that went on with Quantum of Solace. Like, he didn't even sleep with the Bond girl in that one.
I don't think he did.
He didn't.
Huh. Good for him.
That's actually something that we didn't really keep up with for these ones, is the body count that we had, and it's low for all of these.
They are. The body count, once we get to this point, is significantly lower than they've been
Like
in the past.
maybe 2 at most, whereas a lot of the previous ones have been 3 or more.
Yeah, at least 2 women per movie, whereas James...
Like Daniel Craig, I think the most we saw was Casino Royale, and even then that was still only the initial lady and then Vesper.
Yeah.
We didn't see a single one during Quantum of Solace that I remember. We had one in Skyfall, which wasn't really that important.
Yeah.
We had one showing in Spectre, which you were annoyed with because it was the widow of the man he killed in Mexico.
Yeah, that one... Like, dude, can you fucking not?
I don't think it actually showed him in bed with Madeline until... No, it didn't even in the end. No, because he... So that was only technically one. We see him with Madeline at the beginning of No Time to Die.
Daniel is very much an unhorny Bond. We appreciate it.
Actually, there was no other one that he laid with in No Time to Die either.
Yeah. Like, there was flirting, but it's James. He's always gonna flirt.
There was the weird tension flirting between him and Nomi at the very beginning.
I think she leaned into that because of the whole...
She knows how he is. She knows how he is.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna get him to let his guard down and I'm just gonna do this thing. And, like, he kind of took the bait until... But I think I couldn't tell.
He had a small idea of who she was.
Okay.
But it was the case of when they got into the house and she had stripped off the wig and the fancy dress to her basically uniform she had.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, now I remember. Now I remember more.
But overall, yeah, 90s and above for all of these for me. And since this is the end of the James Bond series, want to talk about how you felt through the entire thing? Because it's been definitely one hell of a ride, because we started this back at the beginning of December.
It has, and the fact that this is the 1st of March, this has been a very crazy 3 months. Um, there are definitely ones that I would revisit in for individual iterations of Bond. I
Like each,
don't see me going back to Clooney. Not
well,
Clooney, Connery. Good lord. I don't see me
Connery
going
had a
back to
couple that were
revisit.
good, but not enough to really be worth going back and like actively watching. There were ones that were good for like
Yeah.
background noise and stuff, but
And I feel like I would not revisit any of Roger Moore's early ones.
Roger Moore did best with his last three, where it got to the point of, let's not have all the horny because I'm much older than all these women.
Yes, that thing. I might put on Lazenby as just like background noise and stuff like that. But that one was long. I even remember that one was long, and the ending still pisses me off.
The
Like,
ending
they
of
just
that,
got married, and
yeah.
she just like dies.
Timothy Dalton's just generic action movie. Probably not one that I would rewatch. Like literally, I fell asleep during them, as we said in the recording that we did.
Those would be ones that we could put on and not pay attention to if we just wanted to shut off our brain and not do something. But I would also, there are so many other stereotypical action movies that I would reach for before I did Timothy Dalton. No disrespect to him, it's just
they're generic 80s action.
Yeah, and if I wanted a generic 80s action movie that had to deal with spies, I'm just gonna watch True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger and just do that instead. Genuinely, I could rewatch all of, I would say most of Daniel Craig's, but I could absolutely rewatch all of Brosnan. Brosnan, hands down, is probably my favorite Bond.
Because Brosnan had solid movies for all of his.
He did. I did not have a problem with any of the movies of his that we watched. Like, the Bond girls were great, the villains weren't super terrible, and a lot of them had really punchable faces. Let's be honest.
They also all had not really Goldfinger plans, so
yeah, that thing.
So
I feel like that is going to outlive this series.
Magical plot penis and Goldfinger plans.
Yes,
that's what's gonna live out of this.
This is fine. The overall franchise rating, what would you give it, Kitty? Because I know this is your favorite franchise, for better or for worse, depending on like the Bond movie that we're watching. But
I think to give an average rating to the entire series, I'd go 75 to 80.
Okay. That's about where I would put it for the average.
Like, we have some that are super low rating, but most of them are usually about middle class.
We're not including the non-Eon films that we did not finish.
No.
Yeah. If we don't include those films, overall, a good lot of these could be put on as background noise. There are very few that I would outright skip. Cough, cough, Goldfinger, cough, cough. But I can decently say 75, 80 for overall franchise rating. This was a fun little experience, and I'm really glad I got to experience it with you.
And that was also started because one of your coworkers?
One of my friends.
One of your friends.
Like, random person I was talking to. Like, and this series outlasted that. Yeah. But
it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Like, I'm having more fun with this anyway. And it's gonna build into something entirely chaotic.
Yes, because we are going to be continuing doing reviews and stuff like this.
Yes.
A lot of us have actually been reading a lot more books this year so far, so thinking of doing once a month little book club things where we talk about what we've been reading, if we've been reading the same thing, how we feel about them, stuff like that, any books that we might be planning on in the future. We are also going to continue with some of the reviews like this for other movie franchises or little one-off movies, possibly do some TV series things.
Yeah. Expand both things, revisit things that we've seen in the past, and also watch new things together and just see how we feel about it, essentially.
And we will have a couple other people in with us every now and then when they're able to, especially for like the book club and things.
Absolutely. The next movie / movies that we're looking at doing reviews for, they're not going to be series. We're thinking of just doing a couple of one-offs. One, because it'll be a little bit easier for us to try and work through with our schedule. And two, just to kind of give ourselves a bit of a break of trying to watch
3 movies a week.
Yeah. It'll work a lot better whenever Kitty is on call.
Yeah. So we don't have anything really set, but there's possibilities for in the future rewatching the Indiana Jones films and doing those, Star Wars, doing some of our childhood films, like I mentioned earlier, watching The Black Cauldron or The Secret of Nim and things like that, and do little reviews of those.
Yeah. And there was a joke made about taking on the endeavor of all of the Land Before Time movies, but
I don't know how I feel on that one. Yeah, that might be one you can do with Nate on his channel.
Oh, gosh. Just live through the trauma of watching Littlefoot's mom die again. It's fine.
It's totally fine.
Totally fine.
But as always with all of this, appreciate you guys for sticking through with it and listening, getting all of our opinions. And if you have your own opinions, comment down below what you thought of these movies if you've seen them. What if your thoughts differed from us, what your ratings of them are. If you have any suggestions for series that we will be doing in the future, absolutely. Because if it's some things that we'd be interested in, might have first time views of those.
Yeah. And also feel free to give us any suggestions for books that you want us to read or go over. We'll try to read them.
Books are expensive.
Well, books are expensive, yes, but also depending on if there are any trigger warning issues, whether or not those are going to be things that we can handle.
Yeah. And going on when it comes to books, when we start doing those, there are certain people we will not discuss.
Yeah, there will be, and we'll do a full... We won't be able to do a full list of authors.
We'll have a disclaimer that I'll actually probably try and throw in at the beginning for each one of these, because we have certain artists where we might have read them when we were younger. We enjoyed the series at that time, but as we've gotten older, they've changed and we just don't want to deal with them. And
it will also be subject to updated and change as more things come out about different individuals, if more things come out about different individuals. So
yeah,
just to kind of cover all of our bases.
But I appreciate all of you guys for sticking through with us. If you are not subscribed and you want to see more things like this, or when I get around for gaming uploads and things, hit the subscribe button. I'm trying to get to 100 for the end of the year, which I'm at 40 now. I noticed I got another one.
Ooh.
And if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. Help spread it out for some other people might be able to go and see it.
And also, if you are into just casual, cozy gaming, feel free to check out Strix on Twitch. Their name is the same as here, and it's a fun time. We just get to vibe, play cozy games like Stardew Valley and
Stardew Valley, Pokemon, Final Fantasy.
Yep. Yeah, check it out. Come visit. What were you going to say? Sorry.
No, you're good. But yeah, so with that, that is the end of all of our James Bond. And there is going to be a playlist for all these if you want to go back and see them all together.
And listen to how our opinions evolve over time.
Yes. But I hope you guys have a good rest of the day whenever you are watching this. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, everybody.
Be safe. Bye.